Good morning, everybody. Mike Wright, Edge Home Finance. Super happy you're here. We're excited to have a Realtor Partner of the Week this week. We've got Ashley Lubs, who owns Halo Home Interiors. Thank you very much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, appreciate it tremendously.
Yeah.
Thank you for taking your time. I know you're busy, and we appreciate you having on here.
Yeah, I'm excited to chat more and hopefully give some tips and recommendations and kind of tell you about what I do and what Halo's all about.
So let's go way back. Family, how did you get into this industry?
Yeah,
Lay it on us.
I have 2 teenage daughters, which is super fun right now.
Oh, boy.
Married to my husband. We have a dog. Super busy with all of the school activities. My kids are both athletes, so running back and forth between dance and gymnastics and track, and so doing all the things. So it's a fun time right now. But
yeah, but it's cool though, because I miss those times because then you're with a bunch of friends.
Yeah.
All over school activities and good laughs and everything else.
Yeah, it's certainly a fun time. We always like to be the family that hosts people because then I know where my kids are. So
yeah, well, that's the way to do it.
Let's just hope that keeps going. So
smart girl. So how did you get into this business? I mean, it's kind of a unique niche.
Yeah, so I've always loved, redecorating homes and designing and things like that. And I worked in the corporate field for about 10 years or so. And then I had my first daughter, Faith. And the corporate world and being a mom wasn't really meshing with my values. And so just kind of dug deep and kind of tried to figure out what is it that I love to do. During that time, my husband and I were in the process of selling our first home. And I just kind of got into the world of staging. I just kind of staged our own home and had a really fun time with it. And it looked great. And I just kind of thought, I wonder if I could make something of this. So kind of put it on the shelf for about 3 or 4 years and thought about it here and there. And then finally I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to try that with my background in design and art and just, working with people. I had a lot of friends help me out. So I had a photographer who helped me. She actually came into my house and she took pictures of my home. So just kind of gave some inclination of like what my style is and things like that. I had a friend who helped me with a logo. I had a friend who helped me with a website. So all of the stars aligned and I was like, this is really great. I'm going to give it a go. And that's just kind of how it started. And then I knew some realtor friends as well. And they just kind of gave me a shot. And almost 9 years later, here I am.
How many years?
Almost 9 years.
Wow, fantastic.
Yeah,
Well, I know we've got 2 tremendous friends, Marissa and Eric Weingarten, who I was lucky enough to meet you at their client appreciation event. Yeah, that
was great.
And that's terrific. And, we come to talk that your husband is great friends with Tom Hollis. They used to bike together. And so it's a small world.
Yeah.
And what I love about Eric and Marissa is they use you religiously.
Yes, so thankful for that. Yes.
Yeah. Well, they've got some beautiful homes. So let's dive in a little bit.
Yeah.
Tell me about how you go into a home. A realtor, obviously, you two meet. You go into one of their listings or potential listings. What do you do?
Yeah, so usually the realtor will contact me and say, hey, I have a listing. Typically the realtor will give me kind of some cliff notes. This is a family. They want to list their house. They're thinking of listing in a month. Kind of give me any background information that I would think is helpful. They would also let me know, what the intention is of this listing. So do they want me to go in and give them recommendations on things to do to just list the home? Will the potential sellers be out of the home? So will this be a vacant home, or will it be somewhere in between? Is it going to be something that I'm going to bring some of my items but work with their items too? And so those are actually the 3 kind of services that I do.
Yeah.
So we'll kind of identify, what kind of situation it is, and then I'll go in there and, depending on the situation, give them recommendations on what to do, what would be the best benefit to stage, and so on and so forth. So.
Well, and I love it because you're walking in, and thank goodness for the realtors giving you that advice, because you don't know. So do you store a bunch of stuff, like
Yeah.
pictures and knickknacks and...
I do, yeah. So I have a storage unit of all of the things.
Wow.
So
How big?
it could be, small things like art,
Yeah.
kind of the trendy items, and then I have kind of the traditional items. And so depending on the situation and depending on the house, I may or may not shop a little bit too to make sure that I'm, really getting the kind of the style of the home.
Yeah.
There's just so many different styles of homes that I've done in the past 8-9 years, and so you don't want to make it so cookie cutter. You want to make sure you're making each house shine to its potential. So whether I'm staging a new build, or whether I'm staging a house, more architectural sound in, Minneapolis. So
Yeah.
you really want to make sure that you're working with those styles. So, so that consultation is important because it gives me an opportunity to see the space, and then to kind of identify, okay, what rooms will be the most impactful. So.
What I absolutely love about it is that you had come to our place, right? We bought our house, bought a model, bought all the furniture fully staged.
Which I think is great.
Oh, it was. I mean,
That's the way to do it.
Marissa
Yeah.
was just amazing. You know what I mean? In dealing with that, and it was so cool because everything is done. But all of a sudden now we're looking at selling. Hence why you came over,
Yep.
and it's like, oh God, what are we gonna do with all this stuff? So hopefully you got plenty of room in your warehouse.
Right.
And I'm just telling you.
Yes.
How big is that? I mean, that could be massive. How big is it? A separate warehouse that you got, or is it just a storage unit?
Yeah, it's just a storage unit, separate. I kind of, typically, 9 times out of 10, I have a couple stages out every month anyway.
Yeah.
And so I never really have everything all at once because I'm constantly, going through stages. Typically, when I stage a home, it's, it'll sell in 30 days or less, which is what the leases are for. And so, very, very rarely have the stages gone past 30 days. So I think that shows how important staging is to really see, a staged home versus a non-staged home, like mentally what that can do for the buyers.
It's night and day.
It's night and day. And, for years now, they've, when you go on the online and you're looking through the pictures, I mean, that first impression is everything. If I don't enjoy that picture, I'm not going to call the realtor. I'm not going to make an appointment for a listing. And so that first impression is huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I think that there is an expense to have you do this, so you don't work for free.
I don't.
And, sorry folks, and I'm just saying, but most of the time the realtors, because they know the return on investment's enormous, I know with this group, they help out with that.
Yeah.
Is that kind of normal, or do most agents want to charge the client? How does that work out?
Yeah, I'd say 90% of the agents that I work with, the agents take care of that consultation fee.
Yeah.
And so I have that consultation fee, and then after that, it's a one-on-one situation depending on the client, depending on the realtor. Sometimes realtors will pay for some, sometimes none. Sometimes, most of the time, if I do a full stage, that's the responsibility of the client, but almost all of the time, the realtors will take that consultation fee as part of their service, which adds a huge value to them.
Of course.
They have enough, things to worry about when you're listing a home, and so for me to come in and give recommendations of what to stage, what to remove, what to clean, kind of what to pack away, those things, I don't mind being the bad guy if it in turn benefits the sellers in the end.
And that's all that matters to people.
Yeah.
Is maximize their return on their investment.
Yeah.
And you've seen enough homes.
Yeah.
Wide variety of homes, right?
Yes.
Have you? I mean, is there a 400 and up? A million plus? Do you stage all different homes?
All different homes. Yeah. I mean, I've staged homes. Gosh, I've staged, maybe even like 300 to a million. Yeah. It just kind of depends on the situation and the realtors, and typically we'll stage the main areas. So the main areas are the living room, master bedroom, kitchen, and then especially since 2020, I do offices because it's important to show a nice workspace that's not like in a basement. A lot of times I'll stage areas that are kind of funky and kind of hard to picture, like if somebody has a really hard time picturing a space, if it's a weird shape or size or in a weird part of the house, I'll try to stage that as well, just so people can kind of understand, oh, I could do that. That's a neat space.
And they see it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
that I was working in an open house with the one of the Grocers listings out on in Minnetonka, million, or it's almost $2 million.
Yeah.
But the people had fully moved out. That's a big home to stage. Have you done that?
Yeah, that's a big home to stage. So typically, again, it's
Beds,
it's one-on-one basis. So sometimes they'll want a whole home stage.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll just want the main areas. Typically, the most value is those main areas.
Yes. Yeah.
Usually, the only time I recommend a whole home stage is if it's new construction or
Right.
something like that. But typically, you get the same value, the same bang for your buck if you're staging those main areas, because you want somebody to walk in the home and want it immediately, like
Yeah, of
that
course.
first impression.
Yep.
When I go upstairs and downstairs, that's just bonus. That main level, the first 30 seconds I enter that house, I want it. And so focusing on that main level is the most important.
It's really cool because as we've worked these open houses, people are always coming in either live, FaceTiming with people,
Yeah.
family, friends,
Yeah.
etc. So your impression initially is critical.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bedrooms. I mean, there's plenty of people that may not be the cleanest people in the world.
Yeah.
Right. How do you walk in and go, okay,
Yeah.
here's a maid service, here's a painting company.
Yeah.
Do you have to do that often?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of houses and there's been a lot of different situations for sure. I'm pretty good at just kind of keeping a straight face. But there's, cleanliness is huge for sure. You just have to be really easy at talking about those things, because the last thing I would want to do is offend somebody about their home. But certainly, I'm pretty harsh when it comes to stuff like that. Like, you have to clean this.
Yeah.
You have to move this. You have to paint this. And the reason you have to do those things is because you want to sell your house.
Yeah.
If you don't do A, B, and C, this is what could happen. You're either going to not sell it, you're going to take a huge price reduction. So you have to adjust those minimal things. And cleaning is number one, I would say, because again, if you can see that a home is unkept on the surface, people then start to kind of get in their heads about it and think, well, if I can see that it's unkept, it's most likely unkept in other ways that I can't see. So the bigger things like, the water heaters and all of those things. So mentally, there's a lot that goes into home staging, and to really helping the clients see that there's really a lot, and you really need to understand that in order to make sure that you're going to sell your home for a good price.
I love the honesty. Thankfully, when you went through our house, I didn't get the clean.
No.
So, nice,
It was-
son. You hear that?
It was really clean, yeah.
But, it's really cool. So, guys, and I'm sorry about stereotyping.
No,
Go
that's-
right to the garage.
Yep.
What's the garage like? What's my man cave going to be like?
Yeah.
How important are rooms like that?
I think they're important. I think especially in Minnesota, when you have to make sure that you can fit some cars in there.
Yeah.
And so not only for guys, but just for kind of the comfort level too. Garages aren't the top of the list. However, they need to show well still. So I always tell people, you need to make sure that you have enough room for some stuff that's organized, and 2 cars. And so if people can visualize, I can fit 2 cars in here and also use it as another storage area. That's kind of the most important thing about garages. Some people, the tool sheds, the tool shops in the work area, that's, minor. I think just keeping it tidy and making sure in these Minnesota winters, I can fit my 2 cars in there.
So a lot of people that are selling their homes have lived in their homes 10, 20, 30 years. Are you saying get rid of shit? Are you saying you need to go room by room to declutter?
Yeah, I'm saying pack away a lot. I think
Yeah.
sometimes it gives people that push that they need to get rid of stuff for sure.
Yeah.
And since they're, I always kind of say, if people kind of, get a little, well, I don't want to do that. Well, you're moving anyway. I mean, that's the goal at least,
Right,
is for
right.
you to move anyway. Why don't we start with this knick-knack cabinet, And so to just really kind of, again, softly give them a nudge, because a lot of times moving can be emotional, especially if you spent, 10, 20, 30 years in
Yes,
there.
yeah.
You have a lot of memories. And so really approaching it as kind of a little bit more sensitive, like, why don't we start here, take some time to pack this away, maybe decide who you're going to give it to, or if you're just going to, pack it away. But in those situations, it's definitely important to get rid of stuff.
See, I like that. You're
Yeah.
being politically correct and just pack it away. Don't throw this shit away.
Yeah, yeah.
You got to phrase it properly,
Yes,
right?
yes.
But that brings up a great point, because everybody has family pictures.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, they're in offices, they're on walls.
Yes.
Is that okay to do that, or do you want personal pictures? You want it more neutral?
Overall, you want it more neutral. I would say, all of the kind of research and everything says all family pictures off the walls, no anything personal. I agree with that for the most part. I think there's some things you could go back and forth with. Sometimes if there's like a gorgeous painting or something of a family that's like above this beautiful fireplace or
Centerpiece,
something
yeah.
like that, those things you kind of have to wonder, okay, is another piece of art going to be as impactful, or is that going to, kind of wreck the whole ambiance of the space? So there is some space for, maybe I could go one way or the other. I'd say overall personal pictures should be moved, but there are some exceptions. Yeah.
I think one of the beautiful things about you, Ashley, is you've done so many different homes.
Mm-hmm.
It's your company. Mm-hmm. There's a tremendous pride in this.
Absolutely.
And so when you are coming into these properties, it's not an attack on your clients. It's how does everybody benefit from this thing?
Yep.
Pool tables, games, what are your thoughts? Many people have that stuff, and is it clutter? Is it not?
If it's used in the right capacity. I certainly don't want a pool table in your dining room, which I've seen, and so I've seen that before. I've seen that quite a bit, actually. Obviously, a pool table in the basement, if it's staged as a game room already, as an entertainment space where you can kind of imagine somebody most likely will put one there anyway, so it's nice for them to visualize that. But using the spaces for what they're intended to be used for is really important. And I know some people, they move in and all of a sudden they have all the stuff and they don't know what to do with it. But an example like that with pool tables and the upper level or whatnot, like that is definitely something that needs to be addressed. So some things are definitely not as easy to just all of a sudden, okay, tomorrow I'll have somebody pick that up. So it does require some planning sometimes. But to list a house with a pool table on the upper level or video games, standing video games in the kitchen, or those, it's a turn off.
Inappropriate.
Yeah.
So I know outside. So I drove by a house, and the townhomes for sale.
Yep.
Right next door, like not even barely any other person's line, is a political sign, right? I'm not going to say which party, but but I'm thinking,
Doesn't matter.
If you're listing your home, wouldn't you talk to your neighbor and say,
yes,
how do you handle that?
Again, it's just a suggestion. It's nothing that I can do or that the person who's listing their home can do. I think they can softly suggest it. But I think when you talk with other realtors, I'm sure it only kind of hurts the neighborhood if the house doesn't sell in a certain amount of days.
Right.
So again, to phrase it softly, I'm listing my home within the next 30 days. The pictures are on this day. And go live date is this day. Can you please consider removing your signs for a month or whatever? Because it affects them too. It really does. If there's a house that's kind of stagnant on the market, it affects that whole area.
Of course it does.
So,
how impactful days on the market is your business, right? I mean, I know that if I walked into an empty home, now you got the home. If you set the stage properly, it helps.
It helps, yeah. I don't know the current statistics, but I think last time I looked, there was somewhere around 73% of staged homes sell faster than non-staged homes. So, you know, it's real. It's a real thing for sure. Again, it's seeing the pictures online when you're scrolling through. It's the feeling you get when you enter the home. It's the feeling that people can kind of conceptualize the space. A lot of times, even me, I've been doing this for years, even me, I'll walk into a home and I'm like, man, this place is small. Like, what am I going to do in here? And the next thing I know, I've got 2 couches, I've got, you know, 2 chairs, I've got an ottoman, I've got a table, and it's not scrunched. But it's still sometimes hard to see an empty room and realize that you can actually fit a good amount of furniture in that space without having it seem packed, but making it livable for somebody. So really understanding kind of that use of space is super important.
Well, your talents are amazing.
Thank you.
And I've seen it in homes that these people have listed. I saw your talents. I mean, what I found is after going through the home, you video. Why do you video each room? And then do you send a recap to clients, or what do you do to the clients and the realtors?
Yes, yeah. So typically, after I'm done staging, you know, it's always so fun to see the before and afters. Before and afters with anything is so fun, but seeing kind of the before picture and then the after, I always like to send either a video or pictures or both to both the realtor and the clients, just so that they can kind of see what I did. So I typically do that the day of the stage or right when I'm through. Pictures, most realtors schedule pictures for the day after or a couple days after. And I just know that the clients are anxious to see what their home looks like if I do a vacant stage. So I always just do that just to give them a sneak peek, and then of course a couple days later they'll see the professional photos. And I thought
that what was cool, what you had done to our place was going through videoing and offering suggestions. Right? I mean, homes get wear and tear. Painting, all these things are variables depending on the price point of the home. So you've got this team, obviously, Halo Home Interiors. Did you get Halo by the angel that your husband is, or where did he come up with that name? It's beautiful.
No. So I, one of those things when you're a kid, I think my dad had a nickname for me, and then I just kind of always collected angels and those types of things, and just it was a special thing to me, I guess. And
I love it.
I don't know. It was just, again, one of those things where I didn't want to just have a staging business, and I didn't want to just have an interior decorating business. I wanted to kind of be a little bit of both. Sometimes I'll organize spaces for people, so I wanted something to kind of encapsulate all of that.
Be neutral enough.
And then I just kind of thought about interests and things like that, and it just kind of sounded good. So I said, let's do it.
So when are you going to have your own TV series? Right. Are we going to Hollywood with you, or what the hell's happening? Let's go.
Sounds good enough, I know.
So tell me about your company. Is it just you?
It's just me.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So it's just me, and then I contract with a furniture company for like the bigger items.
Okay.
So I have my storage unit that has all of kind of the pretty items, is kind of what I talk about, and some of the like smaller items like end tables and ottomans and things like that. But I work with a company, been working with them for years now, and they're fantastic.
Reliable.
Yes, reliable. We work very well together. But yeah, Halo Home Interiors is just me.
Fantastic. And I think that partnership with the furniture company, it takes a lot to move in, move out.
Yes.
And you don't want people garfing on walls and doors and everything else. So
yes, and they're fantastic.
Trust is huge. Good. So tell me, we've got 1,000 realtors in this group. What is an ideal realtor? I say ideal realtor if that's even a thing. But who do you like to do business with?
I think the consistent realtor for sure is always beneficial for business for me. Obviously, I think realtors who really understand their clients and really want to benefit them, versus kind of the realtors who maybe sell 1 or 2 houses a year. I'm certainly happy to help, and I think I think, I always learn something from everybody who I work with. But certainly, home staging, it is an extra cost.
Yeah.
And I think those realtors who believe in home staging, that's just, I guess that would be the ideal realtor. So whether or not I'm staging a vacant home for your listing, or I'm doing an accessory stage, or what I call a in-home stage, so where I bring some stuff, but you're still living in your home, or whether I do something that I do with you, which is just kind of the pre-list walkthrough, is what I call it. And so a realtor who believes in the home staging is going to be the ideal realtor, because to me, that makes me feel like they care that much more about their clients. If they are bringing somebody extra in to really make that sale and to really help their clients. So to have those kind of relationships, I think, is perfect.
And I knowing you and the value you bring, don't go and say, well, knock off $100 or $250.
Yeah.
You're getting what you pay for, and that is an expert in this business who will maximize your client's ROI, and that's going to get you referrals, and that's what you thrive on.
Yeah. I think it's anywhere from 5 to 15%, as far as that ROI, and it's just, usually when people are selling a house, they get stressed out about, okay, I need to have my windows cleaned, I need to repave my driveway. So I get it, all those expenses add up. And so some people who aren't super familiar with home staging, they get a little turned off by that, because they're like, well, already spending, $6,000 and all of these things, I can't afford home staging. But then you get into a predicament where you're having to do a price reduction. And I can guarantee you home staging invested in that first 30 days is going to be less than that first price reduction. And so seeing that big picture of, okay, where am I going to spend my money and when, is really beneficial for people to understand.
Plus, when you come into the picture, to me, I think is so critical, because I got told, stop. Don't start just doing all this stuff.
Yeah.
Let's figure out what needs to get done. And when you came in, it was just a blessing, because it's just, you already know.
Yep.
Whereas we're always thinking, well, let's just clean this or move this or get rid of this.
Yep.
And you may not have to do a lot of that.
Yeah, you may not have to, right?
I truly appreciate you coming.
Well, thanks for having me.
I know that when I first approached you, you had just done another interview with somebody else, which is phenomenal, because
it is fun.
People get nervous about this, but you did an amazing job.
Yeah, thank
and
you.
I truly appreciate you being our Realtor Partner of the Week.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming. I know you're busy. Yeah. So Ashley Lubs from Halo Home Interiors.
Yeah.
And don't get thrown by the last name. I did, it's L-U-B, but it's spelled, or it's sounded like with an E.
Yes,
so
it does.
We got that clarified. Yes. And Halo is that thing hanging over her head.
Thank you.
You guys, thank you very much for being here. Without you guys, we're not much. Invite your friends, Realtor Connect. But then we also have Instagram and YouTube. So please come and visit her. How do people get a hold of you?
Yeah, I'm best, text and email is really where I respond. I'm probably available too much, but that's just because I love what I do. So text and email is going to be the best. Phone calls for sure.
Got it.
But typically I reply fastest to text or email. So
Jake will be posting all this information on there. I've got some incredible pictures that she had sent of work she's done. If you need any examples, I'd love to help you out, but talk to the boss herself. So thank you very much, you guys. We appreciate y'all tremendously, and have a great week.
Thank you.